Welcome. 239 Uncensored, everything Southwest Florida and beyond. And we have a great guest today. I'm super pumped. We have Derrick Baker, 16-year-old super football class. Welcome to the studio, Derrick.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here.
All right, man. It's so good to have you. Football. That's what you're all about, man. I got a chance to see you on Instagram. You're blowing it up all over the place. Pretty exciting stuff, right?
Yes, sir. I think I'm just getting started.
Just getting started, man. 16 years old. That's unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you really start to know that you loved football?
I think before I even started, around 4 or 5, I was just watching football with my dad, either in the living room or wherever. And, he got me started. Started off a little bit running back, just playing athlete, being everywhere. And from there, I just loved football. It was a thing that I always wanted to do and just have my life based off of that, really.
When did you kind of start realizing hey, I'm bigger than the other kids? I mean, did you do that? I mean,
I think
all through your whole school career?
Oh, yes, sir. I think everybody still thinks I'm a linebacker when I go out into the field. They're like, there's no way you're a quarterback. I started off, I was actually playing against older kids for a little bit. Just at Estero, just bigger than everybody, running through anybody, and scoring touchdowns.
Now, you grew up in Estero?
Or
Naples?
Naples.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Naples, and you ended up in Estero playing. Were you playing youth football up in Estero?
Youth football,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that when you first started playing.
It was just, I think, going up to Estero, I think it was the best team. I had a couple friends up there. Everybody knew how to play football. They were kind of almost built like me. I think they were all athletes, and everybody wanted to play. And I think up in Estero was the best place to be.
So did people down in Naples want you to come play on their team?
A couple people did, yes. I think I did actually some 7-on-7 in Naples. I was actually going to end up at Naples High if, Coach Kramer and everybody was staying. My older brother was playing there and everything. But, I think I took the best action being in Estero than, just moving to different places.
Yeah, so how does that work? You played in Estero until you were what age?
About 11, 12, I think. Yeah, it was around that time that I left and played at Cypress Hornets.
Okay, so you was Estero, they went to Cypress, and then did you have some buddies that played at Cypress, or what was that move like? Did you want to go there?
I did want to go there. Actually, some people were kind of texting me, just get a kind of super team together. I know I had a bunch of different players from, I think, my old friend Juice, Omar Gonzalez, Big Mac, which he's at Fort Myers. So it was just, everybody kind of got together and we just created a kind of super team and just took everything over.
Now, we'll get into it in a little bit. We know you're not in the state of Florida anymore, but what happened after you went to Cypress, then you went to Estero, and then you went over the East Coast to play some ball?
The East Coast, yes. My 8th grade year, I went over to Carroll City Chiefs, or we called ourselves the Golden Army. I think I was probably the best team, I'd say, in the nation. In our 8th grade year, I think no one could have beat us. Really, it was just going over Fort Lauderdale. I know I have more options for high school, either St. Thomas, Chaminade, or American Heritage. It was just amazing place to be. I think it was a little drive, kind of hour and a half across Alligator Alley, but it was just lovely that I did that.
Now, you ended up going to St. Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Did you go there for your freshman year?
Freshman and sophomore
and
year.
Sophomore year?
Yes.
Now, when you went to St. Thomas, did you get any playing time there, or you still were kind of working your way up through?
A little bit. I think when I came in, my freshman year, I was backup and got playing year and the same thing, playing time. And the same thing my sophomore year, playing time. I was behind a junior my freshman year. He went into his senior year. So it was a little tougher to get that time on the field, but I still made the most of it and kind of got my name out there.
Well, and you surround yourself with some talent. I mean, St. Thomas Aquinas, I think they have 18 people that have gone to NFL.
Yes.
Michael Irvin. I think the coaches over there, too. I think was Coach Welker, Wes Welker. I think he was there, or maybe even it was the head coach over there. He recently left, but they got the newer guy now, right? Or did you start out with who was the head coach when you were there?
Coach Harry. I think Coach Smith.
Yeah, Harry. Yeah, Coach Smith was like the legend, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's actually still there. I think he was there. I actually got to know him more in my sophomore year. Kind of just talking to him, we called sometimes and we just had conversations, and I got to know him as a person rather than a coach.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that experience when you show up from the West Coast, you go over to the East Coast of Florida, that is, and you kind of pop in, and then what's it like when you start practicing? I mean, do you start noticing like the talent is just a little bit different? Because you got to admit, you probably been running over kids that are your age over here on the west side a little bit different than when you get there. You're like, whoa, these kids are fast, right?
Yes, I think there was just athletes everywhere. I think over here in the West Coast, there's it's 1 in 100 kids, like that really. But when you get over to the East Coast, it's everybody's almost like that. That's what makes the best of the best over there. Like going into St. Thomas my freshman year, I was still built bigger than everybody and kind of just destroying the weight room. But I just knew there was athletes on the field. Like actually, my freshman sophomore year, I actually got ran over one time. So it was like,
but you need that.
Yeah, I needed that,
right? You need that because I remember the first time I got run over, and there was a lot of them, but it was just like that white light. You're like, oh, okay, what is this? But I think until you get that and you feel it, and then I think you also learn too when you play against or with other players that are similar in skill. It only makes you better.
Yes.
So, if you're running over everybody all the time and then you figure out, I'm sure you figured this out. Like if I hit that guy harder than he hits me, it's not going to hurt me as much as it's going to hurt him. So let's talk a little bit about what your daily routine is when you go, say, to St. Thomas Aquinas as a high schooler. What is you have time for anything other than, books and football?
Not really. I think most, I go into school around like 8 o'clock and we go from 8 to 3. And after that, we're practice about 4 to 7, 8 o'clock. And then I come back to my family, eat dinner, kind of relax. And then I just.
What's your dinner consist of? I want to know how much you eat.
Oh,
you must be a beast.
I eat a lot. I think it's a lot.
Drink milk?
Milk, yes. I've been drinking that. Yeah.
Gallons of milk. Yeah. I mean, your parents, it's got to be crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Feed you guys.
They probably spend too much money trying to feed me. So it's like, it gets tiring.
You got to pay it back. You got to pay it back. So you get home, you get ready, you grind it out again the next day. And then what's your favorite time? Is it like game day? Is that like a pretty cool thing when you're at St. Thomas? I mean, you were still fairly young, right?
Yes.
And we'll talk about where you're at now, but you were still fairly young over there. But game day's a big deal over there in Miami, right? Yeah.
Game day's definitely a big deal. I think going out on that Friday night, you come out, everybody's cheering, and especially at ESPN games, we have the whole stadium's filled. Everybody's out there is coming to support, and even walking out to the field, even if I was as a backup, that got me nervous.
Oh yeah,
stepping out there, everybody's cheering, everybody wants us to win, and it's just a different atmosphere.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about your other do you have any other favorite sports? You do any hoops? You do any baseball? Do you do anything? What's your other stuff? I mean, obviously, when you get to where you're at now, you like kind of figured out I need to be playing football.
Yes.
But any other sports you like?
So I basically did everything. I wrestled a little bit, ran track, played basketball, did baseball for a little bit. But I think the main one I did mostly was basketball.
Yeah.
I did a little travel basketball over here when I was younger, around 6th, 7th grade. And I kind of stuck with it. I played it my freshman and sophomore year. Just kind of hooping, being a big guy in the paint, getting rebounds, getting layups. Couldn't really shoot that much. It was probably like 25-75 if I airball. So
when you're like taller than your age, it makes your coordination goes away a little bit. And then when you get into football and you get out on the field and doing that, it makes a big difference. Let's talk a little bit about we briefly touched on it, the difference between playing over here in the west coast of Florida versus playing over in the East Coast. We talked about the kids, more athletic, maybe more of them, right?
Yes.
More of those kids. Did you get fired up when you were playing at St. Thomas and somebody that you played against before, maybe over on the West Coast, came over? I don't even know your schedule even played not too much over here, did it?
Couple people. A couple people. My freshman year, we actually played against Fort Myers in our stadium.
Okay.
So I got to see some of those people. That's where I actually scored my first rushing touchdown. Did
coach work that out for you?
He worked it
out for you?
He got me in there. He's like, he knows I was playing Fort Myers. I had two of my old Fort Myers friends, Morris Steven and Omar Gonzalez over there at St. Thomas with me. And, it was a great time, playing against Fort Myers, people that we know, and scoring touchdowns.
Got it. So now fast forward, you're a rising junior coming up, right? So you just finished your sophomore year.
Yes.
Are you done with school for this year?
Done
with it. Now, where did you go? Did you go last year to St. Thomas, and then now you're going into Milton, or how did that transition work?
So I transferred about end of January.
Okay.
Finished football at St. Thomas in December. Then end of January, I made a decision to transfer to Milton.
How does that work? Does it like your parents involved, you're involved, a lot of people are involved, and then I did a little research on Milton, Georgia. They've been playing some ball there. 2018 state champions, 23 and 24, I believe.
Yes,
5A the last couple of years, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they're about 40 miles north. I've heard of them anyway, but 40 miles north of Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
How does that work? How do you go from St. Thomas?
So I actually
Milton,
playing
Georgia.
With Cam Newton.
And who's that? Cam Newton?
Hey, Cam Newton.
We want to have you on the podcast.
Playing with him my freshman year for 15U. The 18U quarterback was Luke Nickel, now currently at Miami Hurricanes. I saw him play at Milton and saw him improve and everything, and I was like, oh, I love this. And I got to watch them actually play at our stadium for their ESPN game against American Heritage. And from there, I was like, oh, this would be a place I want to go. Then kind of just connected with Luke, CJ, and all of them up there, and kind of just made the move. I think when I withdrew from St. Thomas, I was able to kind of just conversate with the people up there, the people that would help me transfer up there to the school and get it done.
Now, how does that go when you're at St. Thomas and you go, hey, coach, I think I'm going to be heading up to Georgia to play. Was it a tough conversation to have?
It was a tough conversation.
Yeah.
I went up to Coach Harriet, got into his office, and kind of just talked to him about it. He understood, He knew kind of the past couple months it wasn't the best for me at St. Thomas and the place it was. St. Thomas is a great place, but I knew just being up at Milton could help me the most. And I already see the improvements. Yeah,
and I think like you obviously stand out there and like you said with Cam Newton's program, and you got support there, right? You got some support. So you get on the in the car, or you fly, whatever you want to do. You go there for the very first time to campus. What was that like?
The place literally looks like the White House. It has the columns in the front and the pillars in the front, and I was just impressed because St. Thomas wasn't really like that. But you get over to Milton, it's like 4 stories, and there's almost 2,500 kids in the school. So it was different. I can tell it was actually my first time wearing anything I want. I don't have to wear a uniform.
Right.
Coming into school, it was a different vibe, different atmosphere again. Coming up to Georgia, they have a little bit more freedom in what you can do.
Yeah. No, you come into campus, you roll in, you go to class the very first day. Now let's get real. I mean, a 16-year-old good-looking kid coming on, checking it out. And, you don't have time yet for girls. You're here for football. But at school, number one, priority, right? Number one. So did you, the first day, first week, did you like start hitting the weight room, start meeting the kids? What was that like when you got up there start meeting your buddies? Did you make friends pretty quick?
Pretty quick. I think actually before I transferred up to Milton, I was training with like the tight end. Our tight end's like 6'6". He got offers from almost anywhere, Ohio State, Notre Dame, wherever you could think of. Training with another kid, Aiden Williams. He's a little underrated. He's been switching positions, but he's definitely an athlete. And that was the difference. Everybody just wanted to get to work. Everybody, I think in St. Thomas and over there in Fort Lauderdale, everybody kind of knew what they already could do. And they kind of sat back and were a little lazy, but up in Georgia, they were ready to get to work immediately. And I think that's how I met most of my great friends now.
There's some ballers, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, when you kind of knew who you were going in. You had some core people that were your buddies already, right? So you go into campus. Now tell me about the, from January to just getting finished with school. What was that like? Did you guys, I had spring football. I saw some of your clips on Instagram. It's Derrick Baker QB1, right? On
Yes,
Instagram.
sir.
I'm watching it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Derek Jones and OT Media in the house. They're awesome. But how did spring ball go for you?
Amazing. I think got in with the coaches and they immediately understood what I could do. They already saw kind of from either if it was Instagram or the film, they saw what I could do and they just wanted to see it with their own eyes. And in the spring game, I definitely showed out and we just had a great time.
So you're playing ball, you're getting to meet everybody, you're going to school, getting classes. Now comes the end of the school year. What are your plans? I mean, it's going to be probably a busy summer for you. You have camps. I know you have a lot of things going. What's your plans over the summer to prepare yourself for next season?
Again, just training. I think I got a couple camps, either Auburn, Alabama. Just planning that out. I know. I've been to Auburn a couple times. They wanted me to come back to camp. They were the first people to offer me when I went up to Georgia. They went in front of my Coach Reeves, my head coach, and Coach Jackson, my OC, and talked to him. And they kind of already seen most of the stuff. You're with Cam, the Heisman winner at Auburn. They definitely see that and everything. And just being up in Georgia, a little closer to Alabama and all that. So they offered me the first time I was up there, maybe in the first week, I would say. And now I'm just going back to camp. We're just trying to build a connection in a place where I would like to go, either if that is Auburn, Alabama, or anywhere else in Florida or Georgia.
The opportunity.
Yes,
opportunity. You like to stick around the Southeast.
A little bit,
yeah, probably. But you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Let me ask you this: so your relationship with Cam Newton, what's that like? Could you honestly get on the phone right now and text him or say, "Hey, Cam"?
Oh yeah, I usually just text him on Instagram.
Okay. You DM him
DM him a little bit.
I know Derek and I were doing Instagram. I'm like, Derek, man, I get lost in my messages, man. I'm like, so you hit him up on there and just see what's going on. But you were his 15U quarterback, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was C1N. Is that how you say it? Yeah, C1N. And then tell us a little bit about that program. That's kind of cool.
I think we just got athletes from everywhere.
7-on-7?
7-on-7.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Athletes from everywhere. He doesn't just pick every 4 and 5 star that's out there. He actually brings people
interview.
He brings people from Detroit that don't even have any stars, but they're players. So it's unknown people that come and try out and really kind of make their name for themselves. And now they're balling out on C1N and the 18U. I think going from 15U, I got to see the behind the scenes of how Cam is. He's a fun guy. He's loud and everything, but he's serious when it comes to winning games and everything.
So what's Cam like when the cameras are off and nobody's around? Is because his program C1N is about mentorship and making young men great, right? I think and really working on that. What's he like when you're around him?
I think the exact same he is on camera. He doesn't change. He keeps it one level with everything he does. He's energetic all on camera and off camera. We're working out. He'll be yelling at me, like trying to hype me up and everything. Like, he's the same guy.
Does he get on you?
He gets on me, yes. Yeah. He definitely does. But
does he notice when you get lazy?
He does. Either if it's in my drops or my throws or when I'm in the weight room with him, he gets on me. But then I give back the same energy. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have that. I mean, Cam Newton, man, he's an MVP. Well, I mean, and then to have that mentorship and somebody, because your high school coach, you played football. Your middle school coach, you played football. Your youth league, you played football. Yeah, Cam Newton, right? He's the man. Yeah, Cam Newton. What amazing guy and a leader and somebody that you can look up to. I think that's very important. And I think probably because you're going to have to get mindful, and you probably already are at 16. Things have changed a lot in the last 5 years with high school ball and nil and all the different opportunities. So you're gonna have somebody like a Cam Newton or like your dad and friends that are close to you that can guide you in the right direction, because you can get off, you can go sideways quick. It happens, right?
Yes,
yeah, it happens. A lot of guys, currently in the NFL are currently made it really big, and they have nothing right now to show for it because they just didn't make good decisions. So that's like that with anything, But it's going to be definitely something to keep an eye out for. Buddies, what do you guys do like when you're in Milton, Georgia, in your free time? What do you do? I know you're gonna say work out.
You work out, or we kind of just hop on PS5 and play games. I kind of say Georgia is like Florida. You just take away the beach, really.
Right.
That was the toughest part. First thing I did when I came down here was go to the beach. I step on that sand and kind of get in the water. It's different than it is in Georgia. You're at home and let's go to the beach. So wait, you remember there is no beach. So there's nothing really you'd like to do. You kind of just hang out with people, just be around each other, and just create that bond.
Yeah, create that bond. Yeah, it's the same thing. My daughter, they Gulf Coast High School, both of them are like, we got to get out of here. One lives in New York City, the other one lives in Nashville. The very first thing they do when they get here, we're going to the beach because you do miss it. Yeah. But when you're here, you're like, Naples,
I know. Yeah.
But then when you go, you kind of miss it, and then you're a little bit further away now, Yeah. So what is your family up there with you, or you kind of have your dad goes up there and is with you during school and so on and so forth?
So my parents came up with my little brother and baby sister.
Okay.
My older brother and older sister are still down here because we still out of our house. My sister actually goes to FGCU.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And my brother attends FAU online because he also takes care of our parents' window tinting business, Eclipse Tinting.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about, like kind of down there. Airport.
Eclipse,
He takes care of that. He kind of manages it and works. And I think that's probably the best thing about my dad started it about 20 years
I've
ago.
had my window tint from when I worked at the sheriff's office there at Eclipse.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he's great.
They tint a lot of people. They've been there for 20 years, and they're still going it. Kind of pass it down to my older brother. I think I learned a little bit, kind of tinting and stuff. So it was
Yeah, that's good. And then being up in Georgia, fairly close to Atlanta. Do you know exactly what you got going for camps this summer, or do you kind of just trying to think of? You said you're going to go to Auburn for something, and then any other things that are coming up that you can like pick off the top of your head?
Not as much. I know I'm also going to Alabama. And we do 7-on-7 for Milton actually, so we'll go to Georgia Tech and Georgia and do 7-on-7 tournaments against other high schools, and that's kind of how they evaluate players too with their team. But besides that, there isn't nothing off the top of my head that I can think of for camps or visits.
Yeah, so you got a little bit of time to work hard, but also you can break it up a little bit. Yes, let me ask you this: when you are in a situation, you got a great future ahead of you. You got a situation where your potential is there to be playing, obviously at high college level, hopefully opportunity in the NFL. How does that translate, and how does that come down to you? Is that a lot of pressure on you at times?
No, I don't think so.
You handle it pretty well.
Yeah, this has been the plan since the start. I really see it now. When I was younger, I want to play Alabama with Nick Saban or whoever. It's like that as younger, but now it's more realistic, I think, because I know it's a thing I can do.
It's gonna happen.
And yes, that's what. So there's not pressure anymore. I think it's something I know I can do and I will do. So just having that belief in myself, I know I can do it. There is no pressure in it no more.
How are we doing with offers at this point? How does that work? I mean, what do you have for numbers? I mean, you gonna go to University of Maine? It's a big school. I just laugh because that's where I'm from originally. I'm like, I had some chances to go to some smaller schools up that way. But what are some of the offers you've had, or some of the conversation? I guess let's put it that way.
So I currently had 21 offers. Just with colleges like Ohio State, Auburn, Miami, Ole Miss, and just a couple more. Now it's just building that bond with coaches. It's not really more about the football because I can watch the football on TV, but I can't see what the coaches are.
Do you have the head coaches like ring you up sometimes, or is it usually player development, or how does that usually work?
It's sometimes
combination
head coaches,
of both. Yeah.
quarterback coaches, OCs. however that is, they either come in and visit the school and talk to the coaches and maybe get called in to talk to me, just kind of building that relationship, getting to know each other and everything. Obviously, I can't have like conversations over the phone and everything
Correct.
with coaches yet until around June 15th or however they do it. And so I'm kind of waiting. I think everything's going to pick up more either next month or howsoever it is with the coaches and kind of just building that bond again with them and who I want to go play for.
And it's relationships, right? So you
Yes.
start building these relationships, Ohio State, Gators, Georgia. And the thing about it is these things change pretty rapidly. I mean, you get kids playing, moving around, portal, things like that. The opportunity's there, but having the chance to take advantage of the right opportunity and you commit to a team, a coach, program, and we all know how quick that can change. So that's got to be obviously in your mind. I mean, you still got a couple years left of high school, but those are going to be some things to really ponder. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between Georgia and Florida football wise. What do you think? Georgia, Florida. And I know it's going to be tough for you because your guys up in Georgia are going to be listening to this now.
Yes. I think they have athletes in both places. I know everybody has a conversation which is the best state for football, or Florida, Georgia, California, Texas, however they do it. I think Georgia has probably the biggest players. I know I go up. I have an 8th grader coming up into his 9th grade, freshman year, as my left tackle, and he's 6'6", and he's already like 280. I'm literally looking at him.
I'm behind you.
Yeah, behind you. And I got him coming in his freshman year. I got a right tackle coming
freshman year?
He's coming in his freshman year.
Damn.
Yes. And I got a sophomore going in his sophomore year. He's the same size at my right tackle. So I know I'm protected back there. I literally sit back during the spring game, just kind of just having like a tea party back there.
I'm gonna go up with Derrick. I'm gonna go up with Derrick one game this year. I'm gonna make it happen. Yeah. I'm gonna get up there and be like, I want to go to one of those games. Yeah. I'm gonna watch Curtis play. I'm gonna watch Boom play. I'm gonna watch you play. It's gonna be exciting. So you think for the most part, the state really they're great athletes, right, from both states, but obviously they feed them good up in Georgia. I think the speed in Florida is hard to beat, right? I think without a doubt. I mean, these kids down here are so fast. I remember, as a funny story, I played football. I thought I was fast. I go in the Air Force, and they had the track meet, and they're like, "All right, Guerrette, who's a fast guy? You're pretty quick, right? Yeah, I'm pretty fast." So I do the final leg on the 440 or whatever it was, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm out, I'm running. I hear this guy just flies by me. I'm like, and that's the first time I'm exposed to like speed. Yeah. It's like, wow. Let's talk about your speed. I heard you're like one of the fastest 16-year-olds in the United States.
Oh, I don't know if I'd say that. I think
like 21 miles an hour or something like that?
21 miles per hour.
My car goes that fast, Derrick. I mean, I can go 21 miles an hour in a car.
Yes. For my size, I'm definitely a faster guy. I weigh around like 225. So
now, let's go back to that. 225, 6'2", right?
6'1", I say
6'2". 6'2", yeah, 6'1". Yeah, 225, 16 years old.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely a big guy. That's where I say most people think I'm a running back or linebacker, but I'm a quarterback. I can sling the ball, and then I can run too. It's my 40 is around 4.5 and running 21 miles per hour. So I definitely can run.
You're a 4.5?
4.5, yes, sir. I think I ran it actually in Maryland. I think last year. So
wow,
yes, I have a little bit of speed.
Trucking it. What's your daily routine, workout, that type of thing? Because I'm going to try to figure it out. Let's see if I can get myself down to like a 5'4".
So
100.
I've actually been training with my guy Jackson at Prime Fast for about almost a decade. I started when I was around 7. He's probably one of the closest people that I know, and in my family, he's almost like an uncle, I'd say.
That's great.
Yes, and he's improved me on all that. I started with him.
Is he here in Naples?
He's here in Naples.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He has it actually right by the shop, by the airport.
Okay.
Point Road.
Okay.
He goes. I think his Instagram's Prime Fast and everything. He trains everybody. His actually, I think his cousin or whoever it is, how it is, I don't know as much as Jaden Petit.
Okay.
So he's a 4-star athlete, wide receiver, and he's been training with him too. And me and him are close friends. We've known each other for a while. Obviously, at Prime Fast is where I met him, and he's improved from there. He's 6'4", wide receiver, played at FBA. He's at St. John Newman now, but he's a great guy. Like he's just a great Christian guy. He's a husband to I think 2 or 3 kids. I know his younger son, Tate, is being a quarterback, so I help him out here and there when I come down.
Right.
But I think being around him has actually helped me the most. He's helped me as a person and also with the speed. But he's been in part of my life for a while. Then also J-Mac in Mind Over Body, which is actually where I'm going after this.
Okay.
For a little workout. He helps with mobility and some of my speed too.
Okay.
So those two have helped me a lot in the past couple years, or however long, my whole life. So they've definitely increased my speed and then also helped me with my personality and character as just either a student or a football player.
And that's really important too. We had talked about that with, some of the other kids I've had on the podcast is your personality. I mean, you can, your athletic ability will only take you so far, but your personality, ability to be able to be coached, right? And I think that really is important. And knowing like, hey, listen, I mean, I got a lot of good things going on in my life, and being understanding that, football is a part of it, but being a good person. And I think that combination is definitely going to, propel you to, obviously to where you need to go. So that's important. Let's talk about social media. How has social media been impactful to you, and how do you kind of like keep an eye on what's going on social media wise?
So I know with actually my social media guy, OT Media, we've been
in the house.
Yeah,
OT
he's
Media
in the house. We kind of signed a little contract. He helps with most of my content. I think we signed it about a month ago or a month and a half ago, and it's just been increased from there. Started when I'm younger, athlete. I think I started around 10 years old, posting videos and stuff, and it's increased where I have about 7,000 followers now on Instagram, and it's only going up from there. I can also see the people I have like that I'm going against in competition, and the rankings are, however, at quarterback, you got Elijah Haven or Peyton Houston up there at quarterback. You can see them either if they're working or not. They might not always be working on the camera, but I know I work harder than any of them.
Give you a little motivation?
Yeah, it's motivation. I think that's probably the best part. You can go on the internet and check rankings or however, but you can't rank how much motivation a person has and how hard they work. So I think that's probably the biggest part.
Yeah, I was talking to some of the other kids, and I'm sure you have friends and you have other kids that maybe aren't athletes, right? So, I'm sure they say, "Hey, let's go do this today,"
Yeah.
and it sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, listen, I got a goal, I got to achieve that goal, I got to be there, I got to go work out, I got to go, improve my skills, I got to go, grab a shoot, or whatever you got to do, right? So you have to be able to do that, and to be 16 and be able to get motivated to go out and do that, it takes a lot of discipline.
Yes, sir.
And
that's why you be around friends that aren't athletes as much. They like to do things here and there and kind of just relax. But I know if I do take a week or two off and relax, then I could be actually losing a person behind me that's working those 2 weeks. So I know just having those friends that aren't athletes, it's a little tough. They always do things that look fun or you want to try out, and it's tough to stay disciplined to what you want to do. What your dream is, and what that stuff they're doing isn't going to get you there. So you stick to your routine, or however, even though it gets boring sometimes.
It's a grind, right?
It's a grind, yes.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So when you go Milton Eagles, by the way, right? Milton Eagles,
Milton Eagles.
Not the Golden Eagles, but the Milton Eagles. You go to campus, you got your receivers, and I'm sure they're like real nice to you. You're like, "Hey man, I need the ball," right? So do you like hook up with your guys and say, "Hey, let's go out and throw balls. Let's go out and do routes. Let's go out and do this." I mean, that's got to be key for you. Is there anything that prevents you from doing that? I mean, do you do it as far as rules?
I think the only thing that prevents me is the weather.
The weather,
if it's storming
out there,
thunder. It's tough to be out there, but maybe you can get on FaceTime and watch Huddle.
Yeah, right.
It
Watch
doesn't
film.
really stop.
Yeah.
You can go
Yeah.
on the board and start doing board work, going through plays and formations. It doesn't stop. You can always learn.
Yeah.
But I think I think that was probably the biggest part going up into Milton. And everybody wanted to work. You get out on the field and start throwing, and then you get that chemistry. And we come out spring game. I'm throwing go balls to Aiden, which is probably the fastest guy. Is the fastest guy on the field, I'd say. And he hasn't touched the ball much on offense because he plays both sides. A little kind of like Travis Hunter. He's trying to be, but he hadn't touched the ball much, and he's like, "I need the ball." I'm like, "Okay, you're running to go here. I'm throwing it." So I did that in the spring game. He scored, and we got hype.
You got connection. That's your guy, right? That's your guy. It's like Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady had Gronk every time, and he had all those good receivers, Randy Moss, and it's that connection you have with your people, and it's just, and I think when you find a core group of people like that, there's nothing better. I don't think there's anything better. I've been in the military, I've been in law enforcement, as far as bringing camaraderie together as a football team. I mean, there's a lot more to football than just on the field. It's definitely off the field. You sweat, you drink dirty water together, you get grimy, and it's just one of those things where it's like, unless you've done that, you don't really realize. Let's talk a little bit about just a few more minutes here. Championships, rings, things. Have you been involved in any championships since you've been in football?
So
organized football?
St. Thomas, we've won. They won when I left. I was their 6th in a row state champions.
6 in a row.
So yeah, I'm part of the team for 2 state championships. Cypress, I think we won our Super Bowl around that year.
Okay,
that was probably a big part. It was a little easier game, but we won the Super Bowl then, and then kind of at Estero, we won one time against the Lions. I forgot it was like Fort Myers Lions or however it was. I think that's actually how I met one of my good friends, Omar, that came over and played for me. I went crazy that game. I think I had like 3 rushing touchdowns at our house, whatever.
Were you QB then, or
I was
running everything? You were utility?
I think I was out at wide receiver one time and caught a ball.
Coach is going to find a way. How do I give Derrick the ball? How do I get Derrick the ball?
Finds a way, yes. But I've been with some teams. I've won championships and everything, but I think that's the biggest part because, being at St. Thomas, it was an expectation. And being at Milton, they just finished back-to-back state championships. Yeah. So now it's an expectation. To be
3 and 4, and then I think the one previous was like 2018.
Yeah, it was 18.
So they're solid, though. They're solid. Same coach? Was it same coach?
Or I think, same coach, Coach Reeves. I actually met the quarterback that was there in 2018. That won, Jordan Yates.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. He's actually a part of the QB takeover group with Quincy Avery and all of them. I train with him and coach. Mainly, I train with Brian Beasley. Up in Georgia. So that whole group actually has helped me a lot with quarterback development and way I do things.
Who are some of the QBs that you admire, number one, and that you met?
Cam Newton. I think I met him.
You gotta admire Cam Newton.
I actually met a couple quarterbacks. I haven't been around many like Cam.
Yeah, once you're around Cam, you're like,
yeah. And most people would kind of like compare me because I was a bigger guy. I'm not the same height. Yeah, I saw him first time. I thought he was about 6'10". And I
Cam?
They got it on Instagram. I'm at the internet. He's like 6'5". I don't think that's the real height. You get around him and you look like a little kid. So
he's big dude, big dude. Yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah,
but I think he's the main quarterback I've been around and really got to know. I haven't met many other quarterbacks. I got to be a little bit around Cam Ward for a little, because he was in Fort Lauderdale training and everything. But Cam Newton's been the main one.
Yeah. Favorite NFL team? Favorite college team right now?
Oh, favorite NFL team? Seattle Seahawks. I've been a Seahawks fan for a while.
Why?
Started back Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, Rich Sherman. I think
when you were like in that age, you're like watching all. That's a good group though.
Yeah, it was a good group. I was a Marshawn Lynch fan for a while as a running back. Saw him.
He was
Seattle.
Nasty, gritty. Man, he get it.
Seattle, the Raiders, wherever. Actually, I met his mom at one of the games, the Raiders game. So, kind of watched him. I started my game around kind of trying to be like a Russell Wilson. went into different being like a Cam Newton or Jalen Hurts. I think that was another quarterback I would say that he's a bigger quarterback in the NFL. He could throw, he can run. So that was another guy that I
It's gonna
kind
be
of
you.
resemble. Yeah,
It could be you.
Yes.
When do you think you're gonna stop growing?
I think my senior year.
You got a ways to go.
Yeah.
You got a ways to go. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So college team.
College team.
Can't let you off the hook on it right now. I'm not gonna let you off the hook. Just because he likes him now doesn't mean you're going there.
Yeah. I think when I was younger, I always liked the Miami Hurricanes. Been a Miami Hurricanes fan.
I think you guys have like a slogan up in Milton, the M, right? Like they talk about the M.
They had the M. Luke was committed to Miami and everything, so he had a little bit of his own stuff trying to add Miami plays in there and just looking at stuff. So yes, I've been a fan of Miami, or whoever it was. I think Miami, Auburn are probably my two schools I'd favorite.
Well, it's a funny story because I was in the Air Force and I was at Homestead Air Force Base, and we could get tickets to the U at that time when they were badass back then, and it was still good. But that's what I'm saying. I'm the U. Yeah, I'm the U too. I mean, you can't help it. They got the swag, right? I mean, they got the swag. I mean, this year was a little bit crazy, and they got it fired up, and then it seemed like at the end they kind of shake it down a little bit. But very good, man. I really appreciate you. You're a great kid. Yeah, and obviously your family's brought you up really well. You're beyond your years. Stay healthy, right? Yeah. Do the right things, and I think you will. It seems like you got good guidance. You got some very positive things coming up for you. Opportunities, obviously name and likeness, right? That whole NIL thing coming up. You done anything with that yet, or that you can talk about? Or
I do actually have an NIL deal with Leaf Trading Cards in Texas.
Okay.
Sign that kind of whenever they made it permittable to have NIL in Florida. Started off with my NIL agent, Jeffrey Winter. He met him actually at the FBA field throwing one time.
Right over here?
Yeah, right over there. So,
right over here. Yeah. They like to hang around Florida.
Yeah, they like to hang. He's from New York, but he comes down to Florida. He did some stuff with Cam Ward and everything, and that's how I knew him. He did a little bit with the old quarterback at St. Thomas, Zion Turner.
Okay.
So he worked with them, and I was at St. Thomas, and he saw me playing there and reached out, and we got to just build a little relationship, and then he had connections with Leaf and kind of got that whole thing started.
Excellent.
Yes,
What your thoughts on that whole thing? You think it's good opportunity for young athletes?
Yes, sir. I think they're putting the belief in young athletes. Obviously, it benefits the young athletes now, but it could benefit them even more when they're older, because you could turn into a Jeremiah Smith, and now you have a high school card you can sell. So
and the portal, are you good with that? The way that all goes, as far as college wise?
Yes, I think everybody in high school, you play against older guys. You go into college, you're gonna have people transferring in, transferring out. So it's all the same. High school, they're doing it now. You can transfer middle of the year to a different school and start playing. So it's all the same. You just have to be ready for it and be.
Yeah, and you got to understand it keeps you on your toes too, right? Yeah. Now, what about the kid that you took over for at Milton? I mean, you're probably going to be obviously the QB there this year. Was there anybody in line to play, or was it pretty much you?
So it was pretty much me kind of coming in there. It was Luke as the starter, and then another senior actually behind him playing. So it was two
opportunity
seniors,
for you, and that probably had a little bit. You probably had a little bit of why you made that transfer. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, a little opportunity there.
Kind of following a little bit of Luke. He was an 18U quarterback, he went in, and now I come up 18U, and he was at Milton, and now I'm at Milton.
And you guys know how it works, and that's good. That's great. Well, congratulations on everything. I'm going to be monitoring, watching you.
Yes, sir.
Every now and then, push a little like on my stuff. I'm going to definitely push your stuff. I'll be like flying it out on my stories, and I'm social media. Keep an eye on that stuff for you. But I'm glad you came in. Anytime you come back down to Naples, make sure you look me up, get with Derrick, or stop by the studio. We do lives over here. We do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Jump on. just tell us how things are going. And I wish you the best.
Yes, sir.
I really do. And you're a fine young man, and I'm looking forward to watching you in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate you. 239 Uncensored, everything Southwest Florida and beyond. Man, I'll tell you, Derrick Baker, can't wait to watch him. He's going to be fun. We're out.